Okay, I should start this interview by saying thank you so much for finding the time to sit down and chat with me. I suppose we should start at the very beginning. So, how did both your love of theatre begin?
Ooh, from the very
Yes,
beginning.
very good place to
That's a
start.
great.
Right.
Well, thank you also for
Mhm.
this lovely opportunity to be interviewed by you. So we're very very grateful for it.
Oh, thank
Do you
you.
want to do your
Love it.
theater story first?
Sure.
Mhm.
So I think I've been performing since I was in single digits,
Mhm.
whether anyone was watching or not. But really, what got me most into theater, especially, was physical theater. I remember in seventh grade, so in grade school, I we were doing a James and the Giant Peach,
Mhm.
and I wanted more than anything to play the little old man that gives him like the wormy beans in
Yeah.
the beginning. And pretty much ever since then, including like my freshman year of university, I'm always like, how can I play the character that is least like me?
Mhm.
Um, and then that turned into playing like, 10 different characters in one play. And I really got into like how, how do I
Mhm.
transform myself on stage physically to make that happen? So yeah, I guess for me, it all started at seventh grade with James and the Giant Peach.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you know that?
I I think I did a little bit, but I don't think I knew the full story. I grew up playing sports. I
Mhm.
got every sport that I could put my hands on: football, soccer, baseball, lacrosse. My family moved up and down the East Coast in the States
Mhm.
a bit too. So when we moved in the middle of high school, I was playing lacrosse as my main sport, and the South didn't have lacrosse yet. So I just lost interest in all sports. I had lost, it was an abrupt move, so I didn't have a chance to say bye to friends. So I became very depressed in high school.
Oh.
And I saw a poster on the wall for Footloose, and I had recently seen the movie Footloose. I was like, "Oh, this is awesome! I love this
Mhm.
movie. What's going on with Footloose?" The guidance counselor I was working with was like, "Oh, he's finally excited about something. Okay, off you go," and threw me into drama class. And I had an audition within a week, and
Wow.
found myself in one of the main roles in a musical. And I had never sang, danced, acted. I didn't know what theater was.
Mm.
My previous high school didn't have theater in it. Um, I managed to do it. I was really shy. I would not like sing in front of people and rehearse my songs, and they just had to
Mm.
trust that I would do it.
Wow.
And I would look back and question my younger self as well. Be like, why did we hire this guy? Why did we cast him?
Mm.
But I pulled it off as best as anybody could in high school, and I was a bit smitten. I was like, oh, this is akin to that level of like presence and listening that is needed when you're on the field playing
Mhm.
sports. There's something here.
Mm.
But I didn't quite know what I wanted to do with life, so I just started saying yes to things people were telling me to do. So somebody told me to go to local college for acting, and so I said yes and went there. And they introduced a BFA in physical
Mhm.
theater. So I was hesitant, but when I saw kids in the courtyard playing with juggling balls and learning how to unicycle and tumble and part in acrobatics, I was like, oh, this is
Mhm.
sports, and now I can mix them really well together. So I dove into physical theater, and that took me to Italy for my final year of college, where I learned a lot more movement technique, vocal techniques, and really started to find what I enjoyed
Mm.
about theater and how to sort of perform that.
So did
Uh,
that sort of trigger your sort of love of circus then? Is that how the sort of circus elements got introduced?
exactly. For me, yeah,
Mm.
yeah. I started to seep more and more into circus and realized like, oh, I can perform athleticism essentially.
Mm.
And I've been doing that for the last 14 years, still
Mm.
developing skills, still figuring out ways to merge circus and theater and perform them. I mean, that's how our show came to be,
Mm.
is it's that
That's true.
merging of circus and theater.
Yeah, and kind of similarly, I think I started doing aerial silks when I was
Mm.
24. And it was just like as a fun way to work out, you know? And then I was like, oh, this is really cool. And it like taught me that I'm much stronger physically than I
Mm.
than I thought I was. And then when in Chicago, there's a very robust circus scene and circus theater scene and physical theater scene. And
Mm.
so when people started introducing me to the idea that like, oh, you can merge circus with theater, then it really
Mm.
opened up a whole world for me. And then really meeting Richie is when we started doing partner acrobatics together, and we both were interested in heightened storytelling
Mm.
through, or sorry, heightened physicality in storytelling. And we actually started making work together when we both got into the same MFA program for
Mm.
physical theater.
Mm.
So
Obviously, you mentioned there about sort of this is how you started creating shows, but how did the writing get introduced and how did you kind of discovered you had a skill for writing?
Yeah. So something writing has always been a bit a heavier part of my practice.
Hmm.
I've always been writing like short stories and short plays and that kind of thing. But for us, it was when we were getting our master's degrees,
Hmm.
we realized that every new type of piece requires a different kind of writing style, right? Like we work really well when we are improvising together and then we maybe film it or like remember what was working
Mm.
about the improvisation and then write it down later. But then that doesn't always work for every process. Like if you're doing a farce,
Mm.
sometimes it really works better to have the script and then test the script. Sometimes for like a drama, you like have whole scenes that are written out and you've got to put them on their feet. So I think at least for the two of us, it comes from like a combination of like writing and putting things on their feet,
Mm.
playing with the text, bringing it back, playing with it
Mm.
again, bringing it back a lot of times.
Yeah. For me, the extension is writing comes secondary, and it was meant to be
Mm.
documentation of the things that I discovered and go, okay,
Mm.
let me make sure I remember this. So it wasn't always like script writing. It was writing out the physical score of
Mm.
now I go here, I cross 3 steps this way, and I do this. And especially because I was playing in comedy, there was a lot of like, if you read this, this isn't comedy. This is a playbook.
Mhm.
Well, I guess going back to sports, right? And eventually it was like, okay, but I need to remember the words. And then as I got further into acting, it was like, oh, that's just what plays are. They just start with the words instead of the blocking.
Mm.
And I'm starting with the blocking. And so it's sort of developed to be this fun hybrid now of like, now how do you script
Mm.
circus, how do you script flips, and we're going to improvise here and ad lib, but it has to be scripted in a way not only for documentation for us to remember but also to hand over a technician
Mhm.
and they understand and can follow our show.
Oh, okay. And obviously, one of the shows that you've worked on, which is what we're here to talk about today, is Well Balanced Dads. So, where did
Yeah.
that idea come from? How did that sort of come to be?
Yeah. So we were both part of a show as it was being created called the Broken Planet Show, which is also
Hmm.
coming to Edinburgh Fringe.
I
It's an
think I'm chatting to
absurd.
them actually in a couple of weeks.
Oh,
Yeah, amazing. Oh, Callum, the crew they're amazing. They're
yeah.
so
Mm.
great.
So we started that here in Chicago. Callum is the head of it, and it was this idea of an absurd cabaret style show with wacky, weird
Mm.
characters, and the point is to try to heal the world and reintroduce like inner child stuff
Mhm.
and like the wonder of the stars and whatnot through strange characters. Well, the show, I think it was the third or fourth time we were performing the show. We were invited to a weird small town in the middle of nowhere, Illinois. It was Petersburg, and of the 6 or 7 of us working on the show, only Britt, myself, and Callum could go.
Oh.
So we were at the
Mm.
table at midnight going, oh no, what do we do? We have to fill so much time. We need more acts. What can
Mm.
we? Okay, well, we can do partner acrobatics. And Callum goes, dad jokes and acrobatics.
I think we maybe conjured up some mustaches.
Yeah,
Do we have mustaches for the
November.
first one? Yeah. And so we were like, okay, mustaches, dad jokes, partner acrobatics. And it was a 3-minute bit where he just did a trick, ta-da, and had a setup and a punchline, went to the
Mm.
next one, had a little bit of audience interaction. And then from there, it turned into 5 minutes, turned
Mm.
into 8 minutes, into 12 minutes.
Mhm.
We made another act with these characters. And then eventually, after like 20, 25 minutes of material, we kept having people say, like, are you guys going to make a full show out of this? You really should.
Mm.
And so we were like, you know what? You're right. We should.
Mm.
And so we
So
did.
this was a
Um,
hybrid process where we had several moments where we were literally building in the moment on our feet and going,
Mm.
oh, after the show, we got to write this down and remember what we
yeah.
did. That was
Mm.
good. And then going back into the room and going, okay, but what's the rest of the show? Let's write this scene and then try it. So it was very, very much a hybrid process.
And then we were lucky enough to get two amazing residency opportunities in Chicago.
Mm.
One through a called Body Passages by Chicago Dance Theater Ensemble, and then one through the International Physical Theater Festival in Chicago.
Mm.
They had an initiative called Made in Chicago, where it allowed us to like present this work in front
Mm.
of like a really eager crowd, and that's where it just took off.
That was the
Wow.
debut of the full show.
Yeah.
Wow. And obviously you mentioned the sort of the tricks and then doing, dad jokes. But where did the characters come from? What did you sort of base the two dads on?
Originally, they're based on just what is our idea of a stereotypical
Mm.
dad and dad.
Yeah.
This was like the very basis of the idea. And as we started to play and play off of each other and respond to what the audience was doing, this helped us build the characters out a little bit. Once we got into residency and started to dive deeper into a full show,
Mm,
we started to look at the connection with our dads, because we both have similar
mm,
relationships with our fathers, where they were kind of in and out of our lives as kids, and our parents have been divorced and whatnot. So we started to look into there to see if there was anything to mine out of. We play a little bit in the show with that relationship realistically. There's a
mm,
moment where we have a phone call with the dads and the kids, and we sat down and went, on a good day, what does a phone call with our dads look like?
mm,
And so that moment is quite honest in the show. But then other moments are quite cartoony because we went, okay, what's the cartoon version of dad?
mm,
Yeah, we had to kind of go and reverse engineer this a bit because we are not parents. We are
mm.
cat parents. We have two wonderful, wonderful cats and about 40 plus plants. Um, so for us, the connection was more about like, yeah, what is our relationship to our dads and
Mm,
starting to empathize of what might our dads have been feeling when this relationship was developing, especially as we were coming into adulthood.
mm,
And we've gotten feedback from and have found ourselves that there are a lot of shows that look at fathers being new parents
mm,
or fathers being like much older, being grandparents. But then what's
mm,
the empty nester syndrome like? What is it like whenever your father or a parent figure has been a dad but
mm,
is no longer needed?
Mm-hmm.
So
mm,
that's become very, very interesting to us.
Yeah. So
mm,
as we are adults trying to figure out what is an adult relationship with our dad and trying to
mm,
reconnect because there was that disconnect, but also establish, hey, we're adults now. What's this adult to adult relationship? It's asked us to really like look at their perspective and like they're also going through this for the first time.
mm, yeah,
So what are they feeling? What did they feel when we moved away from home? What do they feel now that they're trying to look at us as adults? So yeah,
mm,
we try to that's sewn in. It's not so I think obvious, but it's
Yeah.
woven into the
yeah.
show.
And
Mm,
that push and pull is also very funny. Like
mm.
it's hilarious. Lots of missteps.
But obviously, on top of sort of not being parents, I think it's different for you as well, having to present as male on stage as a dad. What have you found that experience like being on stage as presenting male?
Wonderful. It is so it's liberating. And
Mm,
so I identify as non-binary.
mm,
So it just allows me to get into a little bit of that side, different than how people how see me with the hair
mm.
and stuff. But truly when the mustache comes on, a whole nother character comes on. And it is so fun. We talk about this. So we each have our own strengths when it comes to like street marketing.
Mhm,
It is so liberating to play this male persona,
mhm,
knowing who I am and who I love to target are the really burly, masculine,
mhm.
stoic men, and go up to them and be like, "Hey, it's just you and me, two manly men, with our stashes and like, and try to make them crack." And it's like it's my favorite kind of thing. But
It
as I mentioned, it's like, getting into a body that's very different from
Mm,
mine has always been a
yeah.
supreme delight of mine. So it's been great. You gonna say something?
Oh, it's just delightful to watch. I get lost. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be marketing too, but I'm watching Britt like crowd work these like turned off eyes, like don't interact with me, and Britt gets them to break every time. It's really funny.
Fantastic.
Actually, it's quite a challenge on stage in the show for me for Britt
Mm,
to dress this way because it feels like Britt goes full cartoon mode, and I'm like, okay, how do I step up to match
yeah.
that level of the mask that we so I usually have a beard quite like yours, and I'm like, I can't have a beard because I can't hide it behind the fake mustache. I need to be clean shaven and have the mustache too, so it also feels like a cartoon.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. And obviously, you mentioned about doing the show and having sort of audience participation in the early stages as it was growing. What is it like preparing for something where you don't know what's going to happen? Because the audience, you don't know how they're going to react or interact with you. How do you prepare for something like that?
This is, I think, is the beauty and the magic of
Mm,
our work and this show. Um, you can't fully prepare for what the audience is going to give you, but I
Mhm.
think you can. We can begin to prepare for if they don't give us
Yeah.
anything, we still know how to drive the show forward and make the moment feel successful while supporting them and not making them feel like they've failed.
Mm.
So I think a lot of our work really has been how do we scaffold backwards in the show to make it feel fun to play,
Mhm.
like they want to play with us. They understand when if they volunteer and when they come up on stage what they're doing, so they're not just like waiting for us to direct them, and they can really feel like they're
Mm.
being themselves. And then while we're playing the game, to have the freedom to really open up and know that what they give us, we will support and not just be like, nope, that was wrong. You're out. Go sit down. We've seen
Mm.
a lot of shows like that, and it feels like
Mm.
sometimes the audience can feel a bit used, and
Yeah.
we're trying to find a way to subvert that.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
Sort of.
your Richie is especially good. We talk about highlights, right? Like Richie works with kids a lot.
Mm.
And so I think some of the one of the biggest surprises of the show is when we get children up on stage, like littles, like 4
Yeah.
years old or something. And like this guy, he's the one that knows how to like engage with them
Mm.
in that. And
I teach kids how to do physical and dangerous things, circus, rock climbing. So I've gotten really good at like saying yes and let's
Yeah.
redirect the energy.
Yeah.
so often in those moments, I'm finding my own way, but I sometimes follow his lead. Um, for me, I pretend I pretend that they're just adults
Mm.
and just take them very seriously. But sometimes if it derails, I'm like, okay,
I'll corral.
what do we do here?
But obviously, from
Yeah.
sort of the show building and creating your characters, obviously it's been a fairly successful run because you had a very exciting announcement fairly recently that you are heading to the world's biggest theatre festival, the Edinburgh Fringe. So, what was it like getting that announcement and sort of having to start organising all this sort of things?
Well,
Good question.
that's a great question. We,
I think
this will be our fourth time
Hmm.
in Edinburgh. So a little bit of the just to say like the admin and the prep, the fact that
Yeah.
the prep really starts in like January.
Yeah.
um, that was something we were like a little bit used to because we
Hmm.
each brought solo shows, Arachne, which is now called Athena, and The Mothman Cometh, both of which are going to be going to the festival again this year too. In a way, the announcement was so exciting, and it was also like, oh, great. We get to do a show together and not solo. There's two people
Hmm.
handling this one thing and not one. But man, the fact that this show was built like the initial idea for this show came with Fringe in mind
Hmm.
and was built and developed through cabarets, several cabarets and performances at Fringe for the previous 2 years, just made it feel like yes, it gets to be where it belongs. This show is created for Fringe audiences,
Hmm.
and we knew from the get-go we wanted it to fit in a suitcase. So, um,
it
yeah,
feels very validating
Hmm.
to be accepted and to be able to make that announcement.
yeah.
Yeah. How are you preparing for the Fringe? How are you guys getting ready for that long journey?
So we have sort of a lead up tour of a
Hmm.
couple of American performances, and actually this afternoon in about an hour, we're going to start warming up for a show here in Chicago for the dads. This is sort of our kickoff
Hmm.
show. We've been rehearsing and doing runs for the last 2 months to sort of get our like endurance in
Hmm.
shape for it.
Been
Um,
working out a lot more to
yeah,
make sure that
Hmm.
we can sustain like 23 shows in a
yeah.
row.
This show, this feels like our physical endeavor.
Hmm.
Mothman and Athena feel like the vocal endeavors.
Hmm.
So they both obviously have physical stuff into it, but
Hmm.
that's how we sort of separate them. So this is like a lot of I've been training circus as well, so that's helping me keep in shape for the show. And once in July, I think every weekend we're in a different city. We have a Fringe
Oh.
festival in Cleveland and in Green Bay to do runs of the
Hmm.
dads as well. Start warming up the characters with different audiences and get used to playing with different kinds of people and go, how is this going to change the show?
Hmm.
Do we need to shave down different parts so we can make room for that play, or are we at a good spot? And just to have really
Hmm.
at this point reps because we've gone through a big redevelopment of the show in the last 4 months. So people who have seen the show, they might
Hmm.
recognize the characters and the structure, but we've changed some content, we've added some new things, and
We've gotten a lot more specific about
Hmm.
other things.
Oh.
So
so
Yeah.
really at this
yeah.
point, it's the reps and it's physical body maintenance.
Yeah.
making sure that we rest, make sure we have tons of hot tea,
Ice packs.
and ice packs.
Ice
Yeah,
packs and
because it
Yeah,
is a
stuff.
slog.
yeah,
And obviously, having all those sort of physical elements makes it even more tiring because you are then exerting more sort of your energy in the show.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, and we fortunately and unfortunately will have bicycles at Edinburgh as well,
Hmm.
which we've done for the last 2 years as well. That's how we prefer to get around. And going up and down those hills is
Yeah.
nice exercise to keep us in shape. But
It's a good warm up.
the first, the first few days while we're getting used to this rhythm, definitely it was like, okay, are we gonna make it? Yeah. And then by day 5 or 6, we're like, we could do this forever.
Yeah, by day 5 or 6, I remember last year, I started giving myself the challenge of vocally warming up while I was riding up the steep Morningside hill to be like, okay, I know if I can maintain my vocal energy
Mm.
up this hill, then I can do it in the show.
Which would be an absolute sight, just someone sort of pedaling, just la 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 as you're going down. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you hear it, it's probably one of us.
That's the next show. Follow up on bicycles while we
So we are coming to the end of my questions, but I do have a couple more. I know obviously we've talked about the show and the characters, but how would you describe Well Balanced Dad to people who have not seen it before?
Hmm. This is ultimately it's a show for anybody who is a dad, has a dad, or wants a dad. I
Mhm.
feel like it's a show about having a dad. It's joy and fun. It's summer camp energy, and it's just dad humor, dad
Mm.
antics, partner acrobatics, and
Classic dad
also
activity.
heartfelt storytelling.
You got it. And it's suitable for the whole
Mm.
family. I think that we initially thought that this was meant more for teenagers plus,
Hmm.
but in doing runs, we actually found that a lot of younger audience members can engage really well. And like
Mhm.
the kids
Mm.
really, really enjoy the partner acrobatics aspect. And they love looking at their parents and being like, that's you.
Yeah,
And then sometimes when we act like kids in the show,
Mm.
sometimes the parents look at the kids and be like, you do that.
it's beautiful to watch like
Mm.
live connection happen within the audience while we're doing our thing. I'm like, this is the point. We're
Mm.
making you look at things and connect over it. That's beautiful. I
Mm.
mean, even just yesterday, we had a show yesterday too, and there was a parent there with two kids, maybe 5 and 7,
Wow.
and she was hesitant to bring her kids because we had listed 8 plus, just in case, because
Yeah.
we don't want like wrangle kids during the show so much. Um, and the whole time they were just laughing and giggling and
Mm.
engaged with us. And at the end of the show, they had such a blast. The mom was like, "You need to rephrase this for 5 plus. Like this is absolutely entertaining for everybody."
Wow.
And so it was really nice to look
Mm.
at my kids and watch them have fun, not on
Mm.
a screen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
totally.
we also had teenagers in the audience, and one of the parents said that to us.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
was separate.
that it was that like it was so great to see our kids smile without a screen. And
Yeah.
we were like,
Mm.
yes.
And if people want to experience, the show, where can they find tickets and where can they step stick with you guys?
Got it. So we are going to be doing a full run at the Fringe through
Hmm.
Bra venues, the Hill Street Theater, the
Hmm.
Alba in particular, will be on at 4:30 p.m. every day, and the show
Mhm.
is an hour,
Except for the 18th, we have
except the
off.
18th.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You can get tickets on Ed Fringe website. I
Hmm.
think you can also get tickets at Raw Venues website.
Oh, fantastic. I will put the links in the comments below so people can scroll down and click away. But my final question is, what advice do you have for young performers looking to do what you guys do?
Hmm. Can I
Yeah.
clarify at the Fringe or just like making
Oh,
this
just
stuff
in
work?
like creating a show and sort of all that sort of stuff.
Hmm. I think you have to find what you think is fun
Hmm.
and what you want to say and find a way to combine those. And that's when you know you're going to be able to connect with the audience and they're going to have fun watching you.
Oh,
Yeah.
amazing.
I, I think for me, it would be to stay with it
Hmm.
longer than maybe commercial theater
Mm.
would say that you need to, right? So even though our show is making a premiere at a lot of festivals this year, we've been working on it for 3 years,
Mm.
and we want it to have a life that is at least longer than that. But I think sometimes the hustle mentality
Hmm.
tells you you need to be churning out a show a year or a show every season, and that's just
Yeah.
not true. It's just not true. So just like take the time that the work needs to take. And if it takes 10 years, so be it. If
Mhm.
it takes 3 months, so be it. It's the timeline that the show needs and that you need.
Fantastic. So I said at the beginning, but I'll end the same way. Thank you so much for taking the time out to sit down and chat with me. I will put all the links in the comments below so people can scroll down and click away. I now obviously wish you the best of luck at the Edinburgh Fringe, and I shall speak to you guys soon.